The chamber of judgment loomed high above, lit by crystalline beams that pulsed like a heartbeat. The walls were etched with symbols of centuries-old law, alien glyphs that seemed to weigh down upon the accused. And in the center, shackled in glowing restraints, stood Marcus Hale, a human. 3 alien judges presided over the tribunal, towering figures with translucent skin that shimmered under the light, their black eyes unblinking. Their voices blended like a chorus as one spoke. Marcus Hale of Earth, you are accused of sabotage, conspiracy, and crimes against the Federation. How you plead? I didn't do it, Marcus said firmly, though his throat was dry. I was just a technician on the Starliner. I didn't sabotage anything. The reactor failed because your systems were already breaking down. Murmurs rippled across the audience. Aliens of every species whispered in disdain. To them, a human was an oddity, primitive, untrustworthy. The middle judge's eyes narrowed. The evidence places you at the site of failure. The humans have long been a liability. Guilt is clear. The gavel of light fell. Guilty. Part 2, the sentence. Gasps filled the chamber. Marcus's chest tightened. Wait, listen to me. I warned your engineers about the reactor core. The overload wasn't sabotage. It was negligence. Silence, the judge commanded. You will be exiled to the abyssal mines of Rither. Your kind will not stay in this hall again. Chains pulled him back. Marcus's fists clenched, fury boiling under his skin. He had done nothing wrong. He had tried to save them, but no one believed him. Part 3, the descent. The mines were worse than legend described. A hollow world beneath Rither's crust, tunnels glowing with molten veins, filled with the stench of decay. Prisoners from across the galaxy labored in endless heat, mining rare crystals for the Federation. Thrown into a pit, Marcus staggered to his feet, his wrists burned from the cuffs. Around him, alien prisoners glared with suspicion or pity. Another fool who thought he could outwit the judges. One muttered. Marcus ignored them. His mind wasn't on survival. It was on escape. But the mines had their own dangers. At night, the ground rumbled. Prisoners whispered creatures in the dark. Shadows that fed on life, kept at bay only by the crystal torches. Marcus didn't believe it. Not at first. Part 4, the attack. 3 nights later, the rumbling came again. Stronger. Prisoners scrambled in terror. Crystals flickered. Then the walls split open. A nightmare of claws and writhing tendrils surged from the shadows, shrieking. The guards fired plasma rifles, but the creatures swallowed the blasts, feeding on energy. Panic exploded in the tunnels. Marcus's blood ran cold. He had seen something like this before, during the reactor failure. He realized with horror, these creatures fed on the same unstable energy as the Federation's cores. They weren't just monsters. They were drawn to the Federation's greed. Part 5, the choice. As chaos erupted, Marcus spotted a fallen guard, his weapon sparking beside him. He grabbed it. Prisoners ran. Guards died. One of the creatures barreled toward a cluster of terrified aliens. Children forced to work the mines. Marcus raised a rifle, heart pounding. Plasma wouldn't work. But he noticed the crystal torches. They didn't attack those. Not energy, he muttered. Light. He aimed at the ceiling and fired at a cluster of crystals. The blast shattered them, scattering shards of radiant light across the tunnel. The creature screamed, recoiling as it burned. It works, Marcus shouted. Use the crystals. Prisoners and guards alike grabbed shards, brandishing them as weapons. Light speared through the dark, driving the monsters back. For the first time, aliens looked at Marcus not with suspicion, but with hope. Part 6, escape. Through fire and blood, Marcus led survivors deeper into mines, away from the collapsing tunnels. Every step, the creatures followed. He found an ancient shaft, sealed long ago. With scavenged tools and shards, they forced it open, climbing into forgotten passages. Hours blurred into days. Marcus held them together, rationing food, tending wounds, keeping the crystals burning. Whispers spread among the prisoners. The humans saved us. He saw what we could not. He leads like a protector, Marcus ignored it. He wasn't a leader. He was just trying to stay alive. But the more they followed him, the more he realized he was leading. Part 7, The Return. When they finally clawed their way to the surface, the world above was in chaos. Rither's cities were under siege. The same creatures had erupted from ground, devouring everything. The judge's fortress trembled under assault. Federation soldiers fought desperately, but their plasma weapons only fed the monsters. Panic spread across the streets. Marcus and the survivors emerged into the carnage, their crystal weapons blazing. The creatures shrieked, retreating under the pure light. Alien soldiers froze at the sight. A ragged band of prisoners, led by the condemned human, were saving them. Part 8, The Confrontation. Marcus stormed into Hall of Judgment, the survivors at his back. The judges recoiled at the sight of him, alive, unbroken. You, the chorus of voices thundered. You were condemned, and you were blind. Marcus shouted. You called me guilty while the real threat was beneath your feet. These creatures feed on your corruption, on the energy you hoard and weaponize. Your arrogance almost destroyed you. The judge's facade cracked. Fear flickered in their black eyes. Outside, the battle raged. Only the light of the crystals held the creatures at bay, and only Marcus knew how to wield them. Part 9, The Savior. In the final clash, Marcus led soldiers and prisoners alike. With crystal-tipped weapons, they forced the monsters back into the fissures. The ground shook as the last of them screamed and fell into the abyss, sealed once more by collapsing stone. Exhausted, scorched, and bleeding, Marcus dropped his weapon. Silence fell. Aliens across the city stared at him, not with contempt but reverence. The human they had condemned was the one who saved them. Part 10, The Verdict. Days later, Marcus stood once more in the Hall of Judgment. The judges, humbled and shaken, addressed him. Marcus, hail of Earth. Their voices were no longer thundering, but low. We judge you guilty, but your deeds have saved our world. You have done what we could not. Marcus crossed his arms. I don't want your apologies. I want change. Stop treating humans like criminals. Stop ruling through arrogance and fear. If you don't, the next catastrophe will finish you. The hall was silent. Finally, the middle judge bowed his head. Then let the record show. Marcus Hale, once condemned, is now named Savior of Rither. His people will be welcomed into the Federation, not as subjects, but as equals. Gasps echoed. For the first time, Marcus saw respect in their eyes. Epilogue. Marcus walked out of the hall, into sunlight. Survivors greeted him with cheers, not as a convict, but as a leader. Tents were already rising to shelter the displaced, and in the distance, Federation banners now carried the emblem of Earth alongside alien sigils. Tara, one of the rescued children, tugged his sleeve. Will you stay with us, human? Marcus smiled faintly. For now, someone has to make sure the judges keep their word. He looked back once at the shattered hall where he'd been condemned, then turned away. The alien judges had called him guilty, but history would remember him as their savior.